Welcome back to my friends in the VFX animation and virtual production industries. We're going to continue some basics of Unreal, this time going a little deeper specifically into what I've titled my project here as maps, levels, and sublevels, and how to create a little bit more complex setups. Not that you need to, but you need to understand how those three things work together, what's similar, what's different. And it's really just a way so that you're familiar with what's possible. You don't have to work this way at all, but it is important that you understand how it works so you can decide if you do want to work this way. So when I say this way, what am I talking about? Let's make sure we're understanding levels versus maps. First, they are the same. This that we're looking at here, this is the map called third person example map. The map that you have open will be named up here in this tab. Your map is also your level that's open. Same word, same thing. Map, level, same thing. This is a level. This is also a map. Let's look at that here in the content folder. If I look in my third person BP, this is just the standard third person game template, and I'm also pulling in some starter content, which is as you set up a new project, checked on there. And if I go into this maps folder, notice generally your folder is going to be called maps, where you hide your levels. So I'm going to go into this folder, and here you'll see this thing called a third person example map. If I hover over it, it tells me it is a level. See it in parentheses there? I can't move my mouse over it, but you can see the word level after third person example map, meaning they are the same thing. So let's go into this starter content folder, which came in again with this template that I chose and turned on with starter content. There is again a folder called maps here with 3 levels. I have a starter map is the name of it, and it is a level. And so I'm going to double click that. And when you double click, that will load in that map. Now notice up at the top here it says starter map. So this is what I just double clicked to load. You can only have one level open at a time when you're working in Unreal. Similar to Maya, you can only have one project open or one scene open at a time, kind of the same idea. So now I have the starter map open. My game is completely gone, and now I'm just have this this starter content map loaded. Let's double click this one here, minimal default. Let's look at this level, and I just have a table and a couple chairs. Here is the outliner is updated to reflect what is in my current open level, and that's this stuff here, right? So there's that chair, there's the other chair. And let's look at this advanced lighting level. I'm going to double click to load that one, and I just have a few things in this, nothing crazy there, right? So all of these are different levels. They're different collections of things put together in these levels. I'm going to go back to this minimal default one for a moment, and you'll see it's just got some stuff in here. So now let's go over this third. So that's maps and levels, same word. Let's talk about sublevels. And a sublevel, it's not necessarily you'll see this word around, but it's kind of a common thing that's referred to. Think of your car and how you organize your trunk, the things that are in your trunk, or your boot, depending on what country you're in watching this. So all the things in your trunk, you might have one trunk full of just stuff. You got your jumper cables, you got your spare tire, you got your, I don't know, Windex or whatever you do to keep your windows clean, and you just kind of just throw it all in the back of your trunk. That's kind of what we're looking at here. I have this level open, and it's just got a bunch of stuff in it. Yes, there's some folder structure here, but in terms of all the things in there, it's just one big collection of stuff, right? That is totally a valid way to work. People work that way. I did my project that way. There's no reason that you necessarily need to change that, but there is a feature that we need to go over which allows you to work differently and to organize differently, and that's using sublevels. So let's talk about what that is. If we add a new tab here called the Levels tab for managing all this, if you go to the window drop down, go to Levels and open up the Levels tab, Mine goes here because this is where I always keep it. Yours might come out floating for the first time you use it. So if it is, just click and drag the name levels to right there. The level that you have open, which for us is minimal default, is shown here, and that is always going to be called your persistent level. So just think of it meaning like the open level, the one that you opened, your main level that you opened. Again, if I, for example, double click on this starter map, right, and switch over to this one, I just opened that level, and now that is referred to as the persistent level. So the persistent level means the level that you opened. All right, so that's kind of a glossary definition there that we need to be aware of. So whichever one you open. So again, back to minimal default here. All right, so we have this level open. Now I could add, if I want to add a mannequin to this level, I could do that. You know, I'll just throw one in the back of the trunk, just like all these things are in there. And let's do that. So I'm going to go to the mannequin folder, go into character, go into mesh, and I'm going to put female mannequin right there. Totally doable. She is now part of this persistent level called minimal default level. And if I save current, now she is part of that level, which is fine. You can totally work that way. So I'm going to hit delete and go over a different way to work. You can pull in other levels. Let's make a new level with just a mannequin in it, and then we'll come back and show what I mean. So I'm going to go to File, New Level, make a brand new level. And I want this new level to be totally empty, nothing in it. So I choose Empty Level. I made a slight change to this minimal default level by deleting the mannequin out of it after I had saved it. So it's just confirming before I switch and do a different level, do I want to save the changes I've made? Sure. So save content or save selected. All right, so now I have a brand new level. There's nothing in it, right? It says untitled. I haven't even saved it yet. There's nothing in here, nothing in the outliner. It is currently the persistent level because that's what I have open. Let's save this new level. Let's save this new map. I'm going to do File, Save Current As. And I'm going to make, the pro and con about Unreal is you can kind of make as big a mess or a little mess or highly organized as you want. I'm going to make yet another new folder called Map. Remember, I have one here under Starter Content, which is all the maps for the starter content. I have one here under Third Person BP, which is the map for the game content that came in the default. Now I'm going to make yet another folder for my own custom map that I'm making at the content level. I'm going to right click, new folder. I'm going to call it Maps because even though it's saving levels, it's just the standard you should get used to that you put your levels in Maps folders. All right, so I'm going to double click to go into it. And I'm going to call this my solo girl mannequin. Right, so I'm going to the name will make sense in a minute. So I'm going to save that. All right, so now I made and saved this just to confirm where I put this. I put it in the new maps folder, and I have this level open currently called Solo Girl, confirming that's the name of the level I have open, and there's still nothing in it. It's just an empty level. So I'm going to go to my content browser, go to the mannequins, characters, mesh, and I'm going to put my female mannequin in my empty level. I'm going to go to the details tab and put her at 000 because for me that's where I want her. So I'm going to hit this little button here. This is a little shortcut to zero all this out so I don't have to type 000. And now that puts her at that location. So this level has just the female mannequin. While I'm in here, I'm going to go ahead and throw a point light in here as well. In case I open it and I want to have some light in there. I'm going to put that also at 000 by clicking the button there. Pull it forward a bit, up a bit, back a bit, right? So hit F to frame on her, and the light is affecting her in this level. So there's two things in the solo girl level. I'm going to say that's good enough for this particular level, and I'm going to save that. Right, save current. Why might you do this? So let's go back for a minute. Why might you even mess with this whole sub-level business? Again, you don't have to, but it's a feature you can use if useful. If you're working with a team of people and maybe one person's a lighter and they're taking care of all the lights, and another person is doing all the effects, another person is maybe building the environment, you could all be working in your own levels and concurrently using source control, and then use a master level, use a master persistent level to pull all those things together for kind of a final assembly of the project, of the work. So that's kind of why you might do this. Again, you don't have to do this, but you do need to know how this works, so you can decide for yourself if you want to do this. In the trunk example, talking about the car, this is the idea of putting a bunch of little boxes in your trunk. Maybe one box has your cleaning supplies, another has tools, another has, I don't know, what else, your groceries. You could throw it all in the trunk by itself, or you could put it in separate boxes, which is kind of what we're going to talk about next. And go back to this, where are we here? We're going to go back to the starter content. We're going to go back to the minimal default map. So I'm going to double click. It's going to load that other map again. It didn't ask me if I wanted to save the loner girl because I already saved it prior to just double clicking. All right, so now we're back to this minimal default map. It is the persistent level because that's the one we just opened. I want to now pull in or reference that loner girl level. And the way you do that is you go to levels here in the levels tab, you go to levels and you add an existing level that already exists. Not the one you have open, but another one. So I'm going to add an existing level. It's going to pop open a browser. I got to go find it. So I know it is, didn't I save it in here? Where'd I put? Am I blinking? Did I not save? Where did I put that level? Oh, well, okay, so check this out. I'm blinking here on, I thought I put it here. Didn't I put it in this maps folder? Or y'all think I'm crazy? All right, here's how we're going to confirm where I actually put that map. I did save it, didn't I? Yes, I did. So this is perfect. This is not a setup. This is legit. I don't know where that level is. So here is a super handy tip so that you can also find levels when they go missing. I'm going to go to the content top level, and I'm going to use this filters tool. You can see I actually already did it here once, but let me remove that so it's not there. I'm going to go to filters, and I'm going to look for all my levels from the content folder on down, so it searches recursively, and I'm going to check level. And I must have not saved that level after I added her and swapped it. I'm surprised it didn't ask me if I wanted to save that. All right, then let's just do that again and retrace my steps because I don't want to restart the video, and it's good for you to see how this happens again. I'm going to have to watch the video when I'm done with this and see what I did, why that didn't save. So let's back to the, so it's not here, right? So these are the only levels I currently have. I'm going to turn off the filter. I'm going to make a new map again, or sorry, yeah, new level. I'm going to do an empty level. I'm going to go to the mannequin folder, go to characters, go to mesh, put in the female mannequin all by herself, and hit that little button to switch that over. Maybe I didn't save it after I did all this. Strange. I totally thought I did. Anyway, we'll come back and look in the video and see what happened. And then again, I'm going to put a point light in here. I'm going to zero that again. And I'm going to put that out in front of her a little bit. Totally exactly what I did before. And then I'm going to save this current level. I'm going to put it in the maps folder. I'm going to come down here and call it Solo Girl. This time caps. Save. Right. Weird. It says it exists. Sure, I'll replace it. Something got a little wacky here. I'm not sure why, but that's fine. This is good for you to see that things do go wacky in the real world. So I'll replace it. Sure. Let's confirm. I'm going to go to my maps folder, and there it is. So it definitely exists now. And if I look at my levels tab, this is currently the persistent level. So all is good there. I'm going to leave all this as is because, again, I think it's good for you to see, things aren't always canned and work as you would think they would. So this level exists. This level is saved. I'm going to go back to my minimal default, right? So we've reopened this. Minimal default is the open level. It is also called the persistent level because that's the one that's open. Now I want to reference in the solo girl level. So I'm going to go to levels, add existing. Wow, that is unexpected. Wow, something is a little wacky. Let's do one more thing. I'm going to add, so pretend all that worked. I don't know why this isn't working at all. Again, I'm going to leave this so that you can learn along with me. Unexpected, pre-planned, non-pre-planned example here. So let me show you another way to make a level. If I am in the, if I'm in this open level and I want to create a new one from here, see how it says creates a new level? I'm going to create a new level. I'm going to create an empty level from here. I'm going to again put it here. I'm going to call this my new level. Save it. So it created this new level. I haven't saved it yet, but it created a new level. And an important thing to recognize here is that if I double click persistent level, that becomes what's called the current level. If I double click this new one I just made, that's the current level. So even though I'm referencing in another level, it is live, or it can be added to when you make it current, when you double click, or you can right click and say make current, or you can hit the enter key. So even though I'm referencing in a different level, so my persistent level is this one with 2 chairs and a table. I made this new empty one here. If you want to bring in content and add it to this level, it just needs to be made current. And so I'm going to go to the mannequin folder. I'm going to go to characters, mesh, put in a female mannequin, and that got added to my new level, which is being pulled in to this current level. And if you look here, I've switched this drop down from, it defaults to type, what type of asset is, but I switched over to level to tell me what level is this object coming from. And right now the female is coming from this my new level that got created here. So I'm going to save everything. I'm going to do a file, save all. I'm also going to make this level, there's 2 ways you could have the content come into your persistent level. You can have a blueprint control it. Like if it was a game and you're running in a certain area, you want to load it once you get there, you could do that. In this case, for animation and such, I'm probably just going to want it always loaded. I'm not trying to optimize. I'm just trying to combine things together. So I would just choose always loaded. That's what that little blue dot meant. If you leave it on blueprint, you get a little blue dot. If you put it to always loaded, then there is no blue dot. So notice it is bold. That means it's my active level. If I double click persistent level and put in a mannequin, you'll see the female mannequin 2 got added to the minimal default, which is my persistent level, because that's the one that was current. Right? Hopefully that is making sense, but I'm going to delete that one. So again, file, save all. So there's nothing necessarily about this my new level that makes it anything special or not special compared. These are 2 levels. There's nothing special about it. It's not a partial level. If I go to the maps folder, here is my new level. Say I want to load this level by itself, right? I want this to be my persistent level. So I'm going to double click my new level, and you're going to see it load, and there's nothing in there. And you might say, why is there nothing in this level when we know we just put the female in there? Because something, again, is acting totally wacky. So I'm going to go back, load this. There she is. She is in the my new level. I'm not sure what the orange means. So here's another thing that might help all this. I'm going to go to the content level here. I'm going to right click and I'm going to choose fix up redirectors in folders. So there's some kind of referencing wackiness going on, and this sometimes fixes everything. So this is another important tip that is good to show, because I probably wouldn't have showed it if it wasn't active wacky. So I'm going to say fix up redirectors and folders, right? And I'm going to confirm my new level. This here shows that female mannequin is in my new level. I'm going to do a file, save all, right? Everything's saved. So I'm going to go to my maps folder, which is where I have my new level. I want to load this by itself. Double click. There better be a female mannequin in here. And there she is. Shoo. Now you'll say, wait, how come she's not in here? So, big tip. All this wackiness probably just got fixed by doing this option here, fix up redirectors in folder. That is good for you to see, because that seems to fix everything. What it doesn't actually fix is whatever happened to my level called Solo Girl. Don't know. Software is weird sometimes, but as long as you're understanding the concepts of levels and such, then we're all good. Back to my new level, and it has the female by herself. It's really dark in here because there's no light. So if I switch to unlit, then you'll see her. Let me hit the F key. Where is she? There she is. Right, so she was off screen. So if I go back to lit, you don't see anything because it's really dark. So unlit, because she's all by herself. And just so I can see her, I'm going to put in a point light. Zero that out again. Bring it forward and up a little bit. All right, so there she is. A point light, a female mannequin. That's all that exists in this level called my new level. If I look in the levels tab, that is the persistent level because that's the one that's open, and that is the one I'm currently working in. If I want, I can add other stuff while this individual level is open. I want to add, bringing this to a close, I want to add one more important point about levels and sublevels and how they work. They're only one level deep. Let me explain that a little bit. Right now I have this level open. I'm going to add to it, and hopefully not make a mess. I'm going to add a new level here as a sublevel. It's going to be empty, and I'm going to call it lamp only. And you'll see it comes in as a sublevel here. It is a level just like this is a level, but it's being referenced in here. I'm also going to make it always loaded. So it is current, meaning it's bold. If I double click this one, that one's bold. If I double click this one, that one's bold. Whenever I add a new asset to the world, it's going to go into that particular level. So let's go to the starter content and props, and I want to add this lamp all by itself in the scene here. I'm going to zero it, put it next to her here, right? So now I have this lamp in its own level called lamp only, and it's being referenced in, or it's being pulled into my persistent level, which is my new level, which is the female and the light by itself. Notice here what's in the content. And I'm going to save all. File. Save all. Everything gets saved, I hope. So now let's finish this conversation. I have this level with the sublevel coming in. Let's go all the way back and see what happens when I go to my starter content map of the minimal default that was pulling in the female. All right. So now I have my minimal default as the persistent. I'm also streaming in the female and a light in this level I called my new level. You can always hide and turn that on and off to see the effect of it. You'll notice also it's when I turn it back on. Right, so here the world outliner always reflects everything that you have coming in, not just the current level that you have loaded, the persistent, but also any sublevels that you have pulling in, as you can see here. But then if I eyeball it, it goes away. And then the important point here, this is our grand finale, is what happened to that little light that I added as a sublevel to my new level. When you pull in a level, it does not trickle down and pull in any sublevels that it has. So it only goes when you are adding a level to a persistent level, it's only going one level deep. It won't tunnel down through that one's sublevels, and then if that one has sublevels, and if that one has sublevels, it's only going to get what's at the surface, what's at the persistent level of this one. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, so wackiness aside from creating this female and such, we're going to leave this video as is, and hopefully it's useful to you in all its bumpiness and all of its concepts so that you're a little more familiar with levels and maps being the same thing, word-wise, and then how you bring in additional levels into your persistent level if that helps you with organization. Again, you don't have to, but it's important that you understand how it works so you can decide for yourself how you want to organize your scenes and your projects. All right, that's it. Sorry for the bumps, but that's the way things happen, and it's good for you to see that too. All right, see you. Hit me up on LinkedIn if you have any questions. Bye.